Hey, Stisha. Hi. Okay, we're just waiting for Brittany. Let's see. Okay. She's coming, everyone. Oh, there's only me here. Hi. Okay, she's here. Do do do. Did I do that right? Okay. We're waiting for Brittany. Oh, I should put my headphones in. Hi.
Hi.
Hey. So
How
good
are
to
you?
see you.
You too.
Amazing. How can you hear me okay, or should I put headphones in?
I can hear you fine. What about me?
Yeah, you're good too.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Yay.
screw the headphones.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for joining this live series experience.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
so excited. I,
Good.
I love
Yeah.
interviews and talking and all that, so excited.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And so people that are following, Brittany is a tarot reader and a yoga teacher and has all these other things. Maybe do you want to introduce yourself a little bit, like what you're up
Yeah,
to, what you're about? Yeah.
yeah. So first off, if anyone knows astrology, my rising sign is Gemini, which means we like to do a lot of different things. So I do
Nice.
a
Yeah.
lot of different things. And by trade, let me shut this door really quickly. By trade, I am a writer. So I do that professionally. I've been doing copywriting for years and editing and things like that. So I have a few clients that I work with remotely, which I feel really honored and lucky to do that. So I can focus on other parts. And then I'm a yoga teacher, 500-hour certified yoga teacher, and been teaching for about 3-4 years. And then, yeah, the newest thing for me really is tarot reading, which I've been doing oracle card readings for years. And I've just been kind of a clairvoyant intuitive for, since I was little. So bringing the tarot in was kind of natural. And I took an online course with Lindsay Mack, and that's been really beautiful. So yeah, that's how Charlotte and I met, is at one of the shops in Marin when I was reading tarot. So yeah, that's a quick overview. I'm also a singer too, but I do that for fun. So yeah.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so first, I'd love for you to explain what tarot is, how you use it, and maybe we could do a 3-card spread for the collective, or you could do it with me just to give people a taste of like what you do in a session.
Yeah, absolutely. So tarot is kind of this ancient divination practice, and it's very archetypal. So the cards represent different parts of our lives. There's the pentacles, which represents the earth, the swords suite, which represents the air, which is mental, what we're thinking.
Mm.
The cups, which is water, which represents our emotions. So intuition, love, kind of more of the inner waters. And then we have the major arcana, the minor. So I won't get into the logistics of the cards, but essentially it's a concrete way to show people what spirit is trying to tell them. So it's one thing to go to an intuitive and have them tell you things. It's another to have visual representation through a card.
Mm.
And so It really came to me and really helped me out when I was just struggling with a lot of confusion in my life and a lot of like head versus heart things going on in my love life, in my personal life, in my career. I was feeling a lot of fogginess. And so the tarot really helps to clarify things. It helps to give you messages that you probably already know somewhere deep inside of you, but you need some outside proof, if you will,
Yeah.
or outside guidance, if you will.
Mm.
And it's not, I want to say it's not fortune telling. It's not going to tell you, you know, you're going to be a teacher in 4 years from now. It's sort of like guiding you what is your highest path you can take in your life, or if you're at a crossroads, what is the best solution for your soul's journey.
Mm.
I like it because the person I trained with really debunked this old view of what tarot is. It was very patriarchal, a little bit gender stereotypical. And
Mm.
she really broke that down. She's like, this is actually what it means on a soul level. This is what it means to heal. She uses it for trauma. I don't really do that, but it does really help people who are grieving. It helps people who are in confusion around something. It really helps people who are in a life transition. So I help with people who are like breaking up with somebody if they're not sure what to do, you know, or I've seen a lot of people who've had loved ones pass and they wanted some clarity around, you know, um, working with that. And it's also fun. I love doing it. It's really fun. It doesn't always have to be really serious, you know. It's just a really cool way to artfully represent different paths you can take in life, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, every experience that I've ever had with it, I've been really like blown away. And I use oracle cards like animal spirit cards and angel cards, which are just
Mm-hmm.
it's so amazing. Like the clarity, it's just so helpful to help you get clarity on literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the tarot system seems like such a organized way to help get really clear. Like
Yeah.
sometimes the oracle cards are like love more, and you're just like, and I feel like tarot is a little bit more specific in terms of like the real anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to do one on here for people to
Yeah.
how it works. And do you think we should do a collective one, or we should do something like for yeah, what do you think?
I think we should do a collective one. There's a full moon in Scorpio either tomorrow or Thursday. So
Okay.
this is a really good time. I've been feeling really intense energy, like in a good way, the
Yeah.
last couple of days. So this is a great
Scorpio.
time for reading.
Cool.
So what I normally do, I do about 20-minute and 1 hour readings. The
Yeah.
20-minute is 3 cards, but I'm going to kind of abbreviate it today. And it's just showing you, you know, the immediate past, the present, and the future. And that is in regards to whatever question you're bringing.
Yeah.
Um, so oftentimes people might be like, you know, how do I handle the situation, or what's the highest path for me to take? Um, when we're doing a collective reading, we can make it a little bit more broad. And I really want to bring in kind of where we're at with this shelter in place, with this pause, because it really is this like restart time. So we could just do a quick 3 card spread, see where we're at, see what we can let go of, what we can
Yeah.
focus on. And does that sound good?
Yeah, let's love that. Let's do it.
Awesome. Yay. Okay. So I'm
Okay.
using the Smith Rider Waite deck, which is one of the most traditional classic decks. And I have 2 decks. This one I use for the general public, and it's very clear. The artwork is really amazing. So we'll use this deck.
Great.
And I like to start my readings just by tuning in together. So even if you're watching the replay, we're still in this container together of energy, of space. So without space and time, we're still in this place together. So everyone, if you're watching, just begin to close your eyes and just notice your breath. And then begin to take a deep breath in through the nose And exhale, sigh. Inhale. Exhale. One more time, letting anything go, just really coming into the present moment. Inhale. Exhale. Now we're all on the same wavelength. We're all in the same space. And just begin to notice your contact on the floor or on the earth. So it could be your sitting bones, your feet. So just feeling like you're really rooted into the earth. And then I'd like for everyone right now to ask a question. So it could be like your intention for this reading. What do you need to know right now? So I'll just do a general, but it kind of helps to have those questions come up in the energetic field. And just remember when we do these readings that any colors or visions that show up for you, or sounds, or anything that really kind of flashes in your mind, is usually a message from your higher self or from your spirit guides trying to show you something. So take that to heart. Usually it happens really fast. That's usually a sign that it's from above. We'll take one more breath together and then we'll start. So I'm calling in everyone who's watching, all of our benevolent, highest, purest form of our ancestors who want to help us, spirit guides, higher selves, and angels to be present to help with clarifying the messages that we need to receive right now during this time. And we're really in this time of pause, kind of a reset time. And it's really up to us if we want to continue the way things have been, or if we want to really start living a life that we've been wanting to live. All right, so my my question for this spread is, what do we need to know right now during the shelter in place? And so just continuing to stay in a meditative space. Got the first card. Oops, second card. Okay, and the third card. Okay. So the first card relates to the immediate past. So it's kind of like what led us up to where we are right now. Okay. Beautiful. So we have the Sun card in reverse. I always laugh at the cards. So this is actually what it looks like upright. And it's in reverse. So what I'm getting very strongly from this is that we've always had these amazing resources outside of our door. We've had food that we could forage, gardens, we've had the sunlight for energy. And all of these gifts from Mother Nature have been available to us, but we've been so on autopilot, we're not able to see that these things are already available for us. We don't need to have all these machines and all this, like all these big corporations doing things for us. And so there's something that, you know, probably like 85% people are asleep almost. It's kind of, I call it like asleep at the wheel. And it's not a judgment, it's just how we were raised. It's the society that we live in. And so during the shelter in place, we're coming to a place where we're like, wait a minute, I'm at home. What's outside my door? What can I forage? Like, oh, look at the flowers. More people are in nature right now. So we want to come back to a place where we're upright. And the sun also represents a brand new cycle. It's kind of like this rebirth. And so the opposite of rebirth is death, right? So we're going through this time of really looking at how we've been living as a collective, as a society, you know, how many fast food bags we've gone through, how many, you know, I could go on and on about this topic, but essentially there's, when it's in reverse, there's usually an invitation to come up to the right side of this card, which means rebirthing, really living in harmony with the earth. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's, yep.
Okay, beautiful. So the card we're in right now is a cups card. It's the 8 of Cups. And you could see this artwork of this gentleman kind of leaving behind all these cups that he once treasured so dearly.
Wow, wow. Oh my God.
Realize. So
good.
yeah, so it's kind of like this, if you look at the cups represent our emotion, intuition. These are things that he was emotionally invested in. It doesn't mean they were bad. It just means that they served its purpose for its time. And now he's literally walking away from it. So as a collective, we're being asked to walk away from everything that we've known that is not going to be serving the planet that we're trying to create right now. If we want to have our great grandchildren here, we have to do the work right now. We absolutely have to. So there's this really kind of grief a lot of people are going through. If you go to the store, you might notice some people are getting into arguments. I've noticed a little bit of that tension, you know, just going out and noticing how people are acting. A lot of people are getting triggered right now. And so that can be a stage of grief over the way that we've been living. You know, some people, maybe they had a similar routine for 20 years and now they're being asked to pause and to really look at things. And so if you're not able to look at the way you've been living, if you're kind of stuck in a rut, which I assume a lot of people that are watching this are not like that, but you know, those folks out there who are really having a hard time, it's just part of this grieving process of grieving the type of world that we've been used to for a really long time. And so essentially it's a really positive card because it means that this being, this person right here, is walking away from these emotional investments. So it's a positive thing, but the process can be painful, you know, especially if you have a really tight grip on certain things. So essentially this card means we are leaving something behind and we're walking toward what's next for us. So that's where we're at right now. So just to, you know, honor wherever you're at. If you're feeling a lot of sadness or anxiety or anger or whatever, just let it be here. It's part of the process. Like, we have to honor how we're feeling. We can't bypass that. We can't fast forward how we're feeling. The only way we could get to that next place is to really drop into the cups, which is the emotions. So the waters. So let yourself cry, let yourself be pissed, like whatever it is. So that's where we're at right now.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people will be kind of coming through that in waves for a while. You know, some people might be already way ahead. Some people are just coming into that. So just honoring where you're at. Beautiful. Okay. So the third card we have, which is the immediate future, is the Chariot.
Whoa.
So this is also a major arcana card. And this card is associated with the astrological sign of Cancer. And I say that because Cancer is a very sensitive sign. My moon is in Cancer. I have a lot of Cancer in my chart. A lot of intuitives have a lot of water in the chart because they have to be willing to feel all those emotions to really like tap into the collective of how we're feeling. So the Chariot, so one more thing on Cancer is the natural homemaker, the natural mother archetype. So it's nurturing, It's very sensitive, it's emotional. And then the shadow side of Cancer is that they can curl up in their shell like a crab and kind of like avoid life when it gets too intense.
Mm.
We're being asked as a collective to come into more of this emotional space and to come into more of an empathic, nurturing mentality. We've been living in this, I guess I'll use the word patriarchy for a long time, where everything has been over masculine, over logical, over harsh, you know, competition, every man for himself. You know, we're all living in separate apartments. It's a very dog eat dog world that we've been living in. So Cancer really invites us into the complete opposite of that, which is this feminine way of living with the cycles, living with emotions, being sensitive to animals, to plants. And so the Chariot specifically is about ending a cycle and coming into a new one. So I usually see this card and I think of like he's coming back from war and there's a celebration. Um, and so it's kind of like once we go on this journey to find out where we're going, we're not going to come back the same people. We're going to be a lot more sensitive. We're going to be a lot more aware of the things we were not aware of before, and just be a little bit more mindful of how our actions and our choices are impacting our families, our communities, our work life, you know, the bigger collective. And so this is a really, really great card. And essentially we're being asked in this spread to let ourselves feel what we need to feel. We're coming into the cups. So we have the cups here, which is emotions. And then we have the Chariot, Cancer, which is all about emotions. So we're being asked to, like, we're all being asked to slow down right now. I know not everyone is slowing down. Healthcare workers, some people are working way more than normal. So again, but for the most part, most people are home, not in their normal busy routines. And so there is this invitation to tap into those emotions. You know, some of us don't have a problem doing that. Some of us have struggle with, how am I feeling? You know, how do I cry? A lot of us are really blocked up. So we're calling in the waters. And then when we really allow ourselves to grieve and walk into the next phase, then we're coming into this brand new cycle that's going to be way more empathic, way more of a feminine way of living. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That was kind of a short reading. Let's just take a breath together. So anything else that came up for you individually is true. So we all interpret the cards in different ways, and just seeing the artwork can bring up things. And so anything that came up, maybe on a personal level, just honor that, journal about it. Know that it's true. You're not making it up. It's true. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to a more sensitive world. I'm really looking forward to that. And that's what I'm hoping to call in. Yeah.
Yeah. That was such, that like gave my heart such peace, because
Oh, good.
like the fears that like it's going to go back to the way it was, and people are going to keep being on this hamster wheel, and we're going to be pushed back into the way it was, and I'm like, I will not do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to know that the collective energy is like, is hopefully going to be on that same page of like, it was going too fast, it was too much, too masculine, and like that just wasn't working.
Right.
It's just clearly not working. And so I'm excited that the future holds some feminine force in a soft way, feminine energy.
And something what?
And just returning, you know, back to the way that we are meant to be living.
Yeah.
And with the earth, in the cycles, and wow.
Yes. And I want to say also that we have to know that obviously not everybody's going to be on board with this. You know, there's going to be a lot of people in resistance to this, especially people who are really hanging on to this like 1950s like masculine way of living, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's easy to get angry at that. I know I get really triggered from that, but what we really need to focus on is like, okay, if we want to live this way, we have to work together. We have to envision that, like keep just acting as if it's already here and just keep living
Mhm.
it, sharing it with other people because it will ripple. It'll have a ripple effect. And
Okay.
so, you know, my hope is that I really want to have like come into a place of understanding, even if somebody's really stuck into their old ways. The feminine way is to listen to that person and to have empathy for them and know that they're from a different time or they grew up in a different way or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's good to just keep visioning for that like ideal future, and then that will help shift things for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you think we can tie yoga into all of this? Like these,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like what you said was a perfect setup for like us to talk about yoga and like how do we live our yoga out off of the mat, and how can
Mm-hmm.
yoga support us in this transition of slowing down. And maybe you could just talk about your journey with yoga and like how your practice supports you, and anything that comes up for you in that space.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, so I would say yoga itself is a nature-based practice. Anything that's nature-based is inherently feminine, right? You look at Mother Earth; it's a feminine being. And I don't mean to say that to exclude men. It's not a gendered thing. It's just an energetic thing. So you could say it's more soft or more receptive or something. All the poses from yoga were taken from nature. You know, tree pose, frog pose. It's like there was this inspiration from nature for these poses, and yoga is really just this way of becoming a receptive vessel. So it's a way of coming into acceptance of how you're feeling, where your body is. Um, Yoga is not it's not a means of pushing toward a goal. It's actually really accepting where you're at right now, um, accepting like where you are in your life, accepting where you are with the practice. It's really this lesson of accepting. And I notice when I practice in the morning, I feel completely aligned with the um, the energy of nature. I feel that sense of aliveness in my body, that sense of prana. When I don't practice, um, I feel kind of like contracted. My body's contracted. I feel sore and tight, and I don't even have any capacity to focus on my work because my body doesn't feel good. So it is really putting the body first, which the body is connected to the earth. Earth is feminine. So again, it's just this like honoring. It's a sense of honoring our natural being as it is, accepting as we are. Um, yeah, so it's just it's this kind of offering, sitting with, and just really stilling ourselves. And that really is a more nurturing way to live our lives. Um, I know that yoga has profoundly changed my life over the years. It's not immediate, you know, but over time, you will start to notice all parts of your life will change if you really keep up with the practice. Um, Health issues, emotional issues, mental, you know, everything. So essentially it is healing, and that is Mother Earth's nature, is healing, is to heal, to regenerate, to be resilient, and to provide for everybody, right? So that's kind of a long answer of of what you were talking about. And then you said kind of my journey with yoga. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious as to like how you found it and
Mm-hmm.
how what your relationship is with it now, like, and maybe sort of like beyond the asana practice, how is yoga part of your life right now? And I think too, just like how can we use yoga to take us into the next phase of where we're going, like with what the tarot cards were sharing with us.
Yeah. So yoga came to me a few times. Surprisingly, my dad actually really encouraged me to try yoga.
Cool.
And I was like, I don't know. You know, my whole family, we've always been really active. We've always worked out every day, and exercise has been really important. A lot of my family is pretty fiery. I'm like the most chill one out. so, so
Fire sign.
not actually, yeah. And it wasn't until like I tried a few classes. I was like, oh, that's relaxing, but I really liked more of a workout at the time. And it wasn't until I was in New York, working in New York, and I worked at Equinox in the corporate office. And I tried a couple of yoga classes, and these teachers were fantastic, you know, in the heart of Manhattan. And I really started to fall in love with this practice on a physical level. I was challenged. My body felt really good. I felt amazing after. And then it wasn't until I moved to San Francisco, then I started to take classes that kind of heighten more of the spiritual side of yoga, the bhakti part of yoga. And then I think I kind of waited for a sign to do teacher training. I was working full time as a copywriter. The week I decided to do teacher training, I got laid off from my job, and that was the last full-time job I've ever had.
Wow.
Went to Nicaragua, trained there twice over the course of a year, totally changed my life. I was living in San Francisco. During that time, I was becoming more sensitive. I didn't really want to be in a city anymore, so I moved up to Marin in the woods, kind of more in nature. And then eventually I did my second training with my teacher Nubia, who's amazing. So that was a year-long 500-hour training, and that really changed things for me quite a bit. I kind of went from subbing classes here and there to having a regular schedule and really finding my style, really finding my voice. And I kind of went from really loving like sweaty vinyasa power yoga, because I was so used to high intensity exercises, that I really liked that. And I used to dance, be a dancer. So I loved that. And then over time, I think as my lifestyle changed, I started to slow my practice down. And now I teach more of an alignment, like slow vinyasa hatha flow. That's still pretty challenging, excuse me, but it's a little bit more pausing in between the poses and things like that. So that's kind of the physical part of my yoga journey. In terms of the other parts of it, you know, yoga isn't just an exercise or a practice, it's a lifestyle. You know, it's a lifestyle, and there's so many different parts of it. The physical practice is only like this much of it. And so I just kind of let things unravel naturally, and just been doing a lot of shadow work for a few years, and a lot of meditation, and you know, recently I've really been doing a lot of work around my diet and trying plant-based right now, and I feel really good and really energized. And so it's really this practice of slowing down and listening to our bodies, listening to what's coming up. And it's not always going to be all at once. It might be really subtle over time. Yeah. And I think the way that yoga can help us collectively right now is really kind of rebelling against this fast-paced way of living, against this like forceful way of living, you know, kind of like long lines and fighting each other in lines and being in traffic and, you know, working 10 hours a day and being competitive. Like all those things are very forceful and very, you know, kind of this way we've been living. Caffeine, alcohol, you know, substances, like chemicals, like whatever it is that is taking us away from a slower, more natural way to live. And so yoga is this way of like revolting against that way of living and saying like, hey, actually, that's not serving me. It's not serving anybody else. Why are we all in competition? Why are we all racing to get to an office when we can work from home? Like all of these questions are coming up. You know, why are we buying from, you know, this, why are we buying this product from the grocery store that's not real food? Like what's going on? And so yoga is like this invitation of like, okay, you want to learn how to slow down. You want to learn how to get really curious about things, come into this practice. And these are specific poses and specific breath practices and specific rules to live your life so that you can invite in that slowness and that sense of empathy um, and kind of just more of a curious way to live your life. So I think it's one thing to teach a concept or to discuss a concept with people, but it's another thing to live it and to actually practice it in your life. So I think this practice invites in all of those things. It invites in slowing down, letting go of a lot of things, and really sitting with, why are you here? What are you here to work on? What are you here to learn in this lifetime? What are your gifts? How can you share that with other people? And so, yeah, it's basically a way to regularly practice this form of living, in my opinion. And it makes our bodies feel good, you know, and that's key if we want to be of service, right? So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if people want to, is there anything else you want to say? Or anything else coming? I don't
See,
know.
I want to say everybody has different opinions and everybody's at different places in their lives.
Yeah.
And if hot yoga, fast yoga is what is your medicine for the rest of your life, that is awesome. If it's yin yoga, if it's 20 minutes a day, that's great. Like, it's not going to look the same for everybody. Everybody has different body types, everybody has different energy levels. People who are fire signs, like my mom, she can't really do a lot of yoga because she needs like high intensity workouts to like let that fire out.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I'm an earth sign. So I kind of like a little bit more of that grounding. Everybody's different. There's no right or wrong way to practice yoga. Yoga can also be practiced by studying and just doing breath work and meditation. Some people don't feel the need to move their bodies in that way, and that's fine. So, you know, I'm just sharing my journey and my experience, but that's just one little sliver of everybody else's experience. And yoga could also be like, you know, going fishing and being meditative. You know, that's one of my teachers said that to me. And so I don't, some people see the yogic lifestyle and they think of rigidity. And I think there's a balance. There needs to be a discipline for sure. That's a big part of it. But also, you can't be so rigid that you're missing out on life, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of subscribe more to the tantric view of practicing, which is more of like embracing being a human, embracing being a sensual human, embracing being an imperfect human, embracing your desires. You know, I think there's a lot of practices that kind of cut off the sense of we shouldn't feel pleasure, we shouldn't have fun and all this stuff. And that's an extreme. So I want to really invite in the feminine notion of accepting all different walks of life, because this is the only way that people can practice this, right? I talk to so many people I meet, mostly men, and they're just like, I'm not flexible. I can't do yoga. And I'm like, that's not even what yoga is about at all.
Right.
So luckily, there's so many different styles of yoga. And you can even just, you know, get a few books, read the Yoga Sutras, or study if that's what you want to do instead of practice the asana.
Right.
And so I think you have to make it work for yourself if you feel really drawn to a teacher, or it could even be just somebody online, you
Yeah.
know, really study with them and know that your practice and what you are doing may look totally different than somebody else. And that's
Right.
all okay. So I just wanted to say that because a lot of people avoid yoga because they think it's not for them. It's for everybody, right? Even if it's like, if you're doing shavasana and a couple stretches, like if you're being mindful, that's yoga. Um, and so it's basically just coming into more of a place of compassion and acceptance of where you're at, what you've already been through, what you're creating, but not being too harsh on yourself. And I say
Yeah.
this because I'm really harsh on myself. So I say
Yeah.
this because I know that a lot of people on this path are so like, we got to do this. We got to, no,
Yeah.
just accept where you're at.
Yeah. Like we need to do more this and study more and
Yeah.
yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I think
Yeah.
that's super important for people to understand. And I think it can be intimidating when you like, if you look, on social media or I don't know, you go to a class and you see other people like doing things that you can't do, or you just like, it seems like it is intimidating you know, to join this yoga world.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard because like, what I think people need to know is that it's just a way of living. It's not like an hour thing you do during your day. It's a way to live your life,
Mm-hmm.
and making that accessible for people, I think, is kind of like the next phase of like what yoga needs to like become in the world, is just like a more um, holistic understanding of what it is, and more people talking about it, so it's like understood. Um, so thanks for illuminating that.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
just, you know, we're all so different, and that's what makes us all unique and beautiful. And um yeah, so I don't know. Yoga can also be practiced in veganism or just so many different ways, right? So um yeah, for
Yeah.
me, I'm a little bit more about my body, so I use the asana practice as like the foundation for the
Yep.
change in my life, but again, it's different for everybody. And
Yeah. And
yeah.
it can change too, like how you
Hmm.
said, the way you're yeah.
Yeah.
um Cool. So, will you just say like are you doing online classes right now, and like can people come take your class and do
Yeah.
readings? Are you doing virtual readings?
I
Okay,
am. Yeah.
cool.
These are the times when I'm grateful for technology. um so I am teaching at another studio, but the ones that I'm hosting just myself is Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10
Yeah,
a.m. to 11:15 Pacific time. And
great.
I changed the name from slow vinyasa to alignment flow, but
Okay.
it's a vinyasa flow, but we spend a little bit more time in the poses. It's still very challenging, but it's very grounding as well. So I do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's just donation based, so it's suggested $11 to 33 depending on where you're at, sliding scale. If you're out of work though, and if you need some assistance, I'm super happy to work with anybody like that. So just let me know. You can DM me. And then for tarot readings, I offer two different kinds. The first one is the 3-card spread, kind of like what we did. And I usually provide like a meditation or some assignment that you could do from that.
Mm,
And the 12 card Celtic cross spread, which usually takes almost an hour. That's $70. The 20-minute reading is 25. And we kind of just email a little bit, get to know what it is you're wanting to know or get clarity on. I'll do the reading, send you a picture of the spread, provide a recording with the reading, and then meditations, send it to you within like a couple days of the initial email.
cool.
Um, kind of what I'm offering right now. And I'm going to continue to kind of put maybe different styles of yoga, maybe some evening classes here shortly, but still kind of trying to get clarity on that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm always open to meeting people and just chatting too. If you ever, but something that's constructive, not just, you know,
Yeah.
gotten some interesting
So
messages
cool.
too.
Oh my gosh. Your readings are so powerful. Like when we were working at Sage and Stone and I was sitting at the front desk and I kind of could hear you talking to the person
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa. And people are just like mind blown by your
Oh,
abilities. So you're amazing. Thank you.
thank you.
And yeah, I hope people connect with you and do a reading or take a class. Yeah, just thank you so
Great.
much for your magic and
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah.
Thank you for putting this on. I like am obsessed with podcasts and like
Right?
conversations because it's like these are the types of things that create change,
Yeah.
right? Like, um, and it's just so nice to connect with new people in this way as well. So
Yeah.
thank you for coming up with this awesome series that you're doing.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of amazing. I've had this idea for a while. I was like, I want to start a podcast and just like get just chat, you know. I love to just
Yeah.
chat about these things. And I just reached out. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start this. Reached out to like one or two people, and then some people told other people, and then all of a sudden I had all these people reaching out to me, like, hey, we want to do
Yeah.
it. We want to do it. Yeah, and everyone has been like so excited about it, and I think like have a lot of followers and that are like really famous or like whatever, and they do these kinds of things. And then I think there's people that like aren't as quote
Mm-hmm.
like famous or whatever, but we have like amazing things to offer as well. And so like there's a community of us that I think
Mm-hmm.
together that like are offering such cool things but aren't like necessarily drawn to the technology or the this. And so I'm like, all right, we're doing it. We're getting us, we're elevating ourselves and like
Yeah.
sharing our medicine. And I just am like, there's just such amazingness like happening, you know, in the world. I think
Yeah.
it's getting like a little at times scary about what's going on. And then when I really think about it and think about all the people that I know that are really working on themselves and doing the work, and sharing their gifts, I'm like, there are so many of us, and it's like fucking amazing. So
Yeah. And I think this is a time where a lot of us are coming out of the closet because we have to,
yeah.
literally. Like we have to do our Zoom classes. We have to step up and help people who are really struggling right now. Like it's real, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's part of
and
up leveling.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see what happens after lockdown, you know, like what's going to change. I'm really, really excited to see that. And
Oh,
yeah, we just have to keep walking forward. That's a mantra I tell myself all the time. Every heartbreak, every setback, I'm just like, no, I have to keep walking forward. That's my job, you
yeah.
know, and honoring the emotions that come up with it. But essentially, we're all here for a job to help. And yeah, a lot of the people that I do readings for have these abilities, whether they know it or not. And so a lot of these sessions and practices that we do is not just to help you heal, but it's also to awaken your gifts, right? Whether or not it's working in a spiritual way or not. Maybe it's you're a nurse or a teacher, whatever it is, but you're awakening something within you to your highest potential. And if you're really living your highest potential, then you're going to be happier than you would be normally because you're in your purpose, you're in your dharma. So a lot of these readings are also like, or practices or whatever it is, healings, whatever it is you're doing, it's here to help you come into your own power. It's kind of like we're passing it to each other, like we're passing it to each other. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. This has been
Yeah.
awesome. More of
Yeah.
these.
So nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll post this and get it out there.
Yay. Awesome. Love it.
Thank you.
And yeah, anyone listening, Charlotte's also an amazing teacher and human being as well. So it's nice we got to connect and um, yeah, say hi. you want to say hi. And I'm always here to be a safe person for anyone who's going through really, really, really rough time. Feel free to reach out. I'm a safe person to talk to. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
All right.
Thank
Much love.
you. Bye.
Bye.